I want to give you main points, a main points memo, okay? A few different topics. One, the Trump administration is sending hundreds of more ICE agents to Minnesota on top of the 2,000 already there. How can this make things better? It is clear to me how it could make things much worse. Instead of more boots on the ground, how about a more tailored approach to targeting the criminals that we were told these operations were supposed to be about? Instead of getting mostly nonviolent criminals and some U.S. citizens, why don't you show us the data and have tactics that seem geared towards doing what you promised? And we need more of something else also. ICE training. ICE cut their training time in half to just 47 days, supposedly to please Trump. I don't know why he'd want anybody less trained. Look, I've said this before and it bears repeating. Not all people in America illegally are the same. Communities around the country keep shouting this message to you. You know, charging the people, blaming the people for how they feel is a mistake. Changing to please how the people feel is not weakness. And if you want to go big prosecuting the employers instead of the people risking their lives in many cases to take the jobs being offered. Go after the people, luring them here and making the money off them. Next, we're on Iran watch. People are in the streets. The conflict is escalating. Today, the Trump administration announced a 25% tariff on any American trade with a country doing business with Iran. Little note, China reportedly buys 75 to 90% of Iran's crude. So that means another 25% on them. Now there's a rumor, which is why I'm officially on Iran watch, that the Trump administration may take military action and on our watch in Iran. Congress get any word? Anyone going to ask what the legal basis is for this unilateral military action if it happens? Now, despite this aspect, I'm actually excited that the people could finally topple Iran's savage Islamist regime. But it seems to me that not many match my excitement here. Why doesn't Iran get the same energy that Gaza gets or got? Because now that Hamas is haunting and hunting its own people, there doesn't seem to be as much care or concern in America, apparently. Why isn't the media and the progressive left championing the hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent civilians in Iran killed by that savage regime for protesting for their freedom? Next, the war at home, affordability. President Trump called for a one-year cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. And if the companies do not comply,
they're in violation of the law. Very severe things. No, I want a cap on credit card interest rates. We're putting a one-year cap at 10%, and that's it. They know it. They've really abused the public. The credit card companies have totally abused it. I'm not going to let it happen.
I agree about the abuse, but it's not up to him. It's not they violated the law. There is no law. Trump is wrong. Well, I don't know that he's wrong. He can't do it alone. Okay, I don't know how he doesn't know that. Or I wonder if he just thinks you're too dumb to know that. And he thinks that saying it will be enough for you and an easy win. Look, Congress holds regulatory power and exercises it with banks and over banks often. The hard win here would require this president, the deal maker that he says he is, to make a deal with Congress on this issue, to get them to act. And he has not shown an ability or even an interest in doing so yet. But just bringing up this issue could come back to haunt him. If Congress changed rate caps, a lot of people could get shut out, which would put even more pressure on purchasing power. The good news is, credit card rates being in the news lets us discuss this huge symptom in the affordability crisis, which is the decline in purchasing power for American families. Since the 1970s, okay, our economic priorities have shifted by choice to reward investors and boosting stock prices and paying top dollar for executives that Wall Street likes, and away from where it was before, rewarding workers for increased productivity and profits. That's why in the 70s and even into the 80s, and of course before, most families post-World War II had one spouse working, and it was enough to raise a family, no more. Since the pandemic alone, wage growth has fallen sharply behind inflation. Credit card debt surges, 60% it surged. Americans now owe a record $1.2 trillion and counting. And over the last decade, credit card interest rates are up nearly 100%, no coincidence. So now nearly half of all credit card holders are in debt. And it's not always because they're living beyond their means. 3 in 4 of us who are in debt with credit cards is because of emergency expenses. People are paying their medical bills, their car repairs. That's the truth. But if anyone in power is serious about helping American families and small businesses, credit cards are one of the 2 heads on the affordability hellhound, okay? The other is insurance and healthcare costs. Last point. I still don't see how the Venezuela actions were legal or useful to America. But why did the president meet with oil execs about splitting up Venezuela before he met with healthcare execs, as he promised, to read them the riot act about how they're fleecing America? Costs are the issue. How do healthcare corporations with record profits, prices, and stock prices, CEOs making tens of millions of dollars, how are they not able to pay nurses? Did you see what's going on in New York City? Over 15,000 nurses are on strike, making this the largest strike by nurses in the city's history. When will the corporations be taken out of control of what matters so much to so many? Now, Congress has gotten that message, at least for the moment. The House voted to extend the ACA subsidies, which, again, is something, but it's the smallest part of the health care cost problem to deal with, okay? But there are members of Congress trying to do even more. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.